Good evening. How's everyone doing so far? Awesome. Good energy in the room. So as you know, my name is Britta. I go by Britta B. Yeah, you know me. A little something to it. How many of you here have heard of spoken word or have attended a spoken word event before? A couple of you, okay. So one of the things that I love about spoken word poetry is that you in the audience have just as much input into the piece that the person's sharing as the poet sharing it as well. And one of the easiest ways for you to share your connection, your respect, and your fondness for what's going on in the moment is to snap your fingers. Can I see everyone snap your fingers? Good stuff. So throughout the next 20 minutes here I have with you, if you feel anything I have to say, feel free to snap. I am a product of pretending everything is perfect. My mother would never let me out the house without making me wait for her to take her sweet time to do her hair and her makeup. Every day, she'd make the same mistake of letting herself think that if she looked good, she'd feel good. And now I am a part of a cycle where I'd rather keep a long-distance relationship with the ones I love the most because I know what it's like to want to run away anytime somebody gets too close to home. And home, well, that's just another number on my long-distance phone plan. I'm scared for my mom's well-being. See, she's not the balance beam I want her to be. Instead, she's a teeter-totter of emotions. She doesn't like to take her medicine. She doesn't like to listen. Those doctors don't know me. I confess, my mommy still spoon feeds me. Disaster, you call it. Literature, I'd argue, for she gives me every reason to write. She's the one who gave me this life. And anytime I have trouble sleeping, I blame it on the fact that she gave birth to me at night. Alone. See, she's the only one who didn't just dig a hole and bury me in the back of her mind, the same way my biological father did the day that he found out that one day I'd be alive. Hey, Ma, you must be the only one who knows how much I love the moon. We've seen so much darkness together. Now, all of those memories of all we've been through and how I was brought up seem to want to come up. The moment I'm alone in the middle of a park and for no reason at all, my eyes fail me. When I cry really hard, embarrassingly hard. You know, like that Oprah Winfrey ugly cry? But for the sake of the public, I try my hardest to stop. But the more I try to stop, the harder I cry anyway. And because I'm a product of pretending everything is perfect, I tell everyone around me I'm good. I'm okay. Yeah. But I'm not. In fact, I'm really ticked off. See, just the other day, my mom told me to please accept the fact that when you're not feeling well, you avoid some things. And I started to convince myself that she's only avoiding me because for the past few weeks, every time I call her, she just lets it ring, and I get more and more ticked off as she keeps ignoring me. You never pay attention to me, Ma. And I scream it like a little drama queen, but she just whispers back, I'm afraid to let you see me like this. And I wish with everything in my heart that she hears me when I say to her, you're not perfect, Ma. You are worthy. You're the one who taught me that. I mean, ain't it enough? Of course, she says, ain't is not a word. How many of you here ever want to change something about your life to make it better? Where I come from, we have a long history of being too proud to ask for help. And that pride sometimes turns into fear. And that fear gets in the way. From a young age, I noticed that where I come from, we have a habit of talking ourselves down, calling ourselves names, saying mean things about ourselves and to ourselves. If any of you can feel me, please snap. At times, we say things like, I'm too stupid, I'm not good enough, I can't do that. At times, we call ourselves wastes of time, wastes of flesh. And I identify this as a cycle of tension. Life is a bunch of circles and cycles. And something that I have tried my best to do since noticing this is to embrace. I've made it my duty to embrace, to take the time to figure out what makes me me, what makes me move, what makes me tick. And the only way that I have found for me to do that in a safe place is through poetry. When I look at a blank page, I'm reminded of a blank wall that I sometimes get trapped or fixated on when everything around me seems to be spiraling out of control, when chaos seems to consume me. I write my way out. Fortunately, it has opened many doors for me. It has provided me with many opportunities to meet people like me, to meet people who have stories of their own, to share my truth. Sometimes, when we don't take the time to figure out how to cope with what's going on in our worlds, it turns into something that's destructive. And that cycle of tension, it builds up, and then eventually it's going to get to a point where it snaps. And then that feeling of it snapping, that relief feels so good that we just forget and we go on. We don't bother taking time to figure out what it is that brought us to that point. But with poetry, I'm given a safe space to investigate these habits that I have of my own, these tendencies I have. And when I take the time to reflect, I am able to write what I think, write what I feel, and then eventually I'm able to write how I want to think, how I want to feel. And then I'm able to share with others and connect to people. And it offers me an opportunity to be my highest self, to be my highest truth. My whole life, I have just wanted to live a meaningful life. And sometimes it doesn't always feel that way. I get caught up in that cycle. I talk myself down. I tell myself I'm stupid. I'm telling myself that, I'm not good enough or I'm not going to be able to do something. And then I remember, I can snap out of it. I write my way out. The poems that I'm sharing with you, they are my truth, they are my story. But I'm standing here in front of you today because, fortunately enough, they're not my current story. It is where I have come from. And one of my Britta tips for you would be to know how far you've come, go back to where you began. And here I am in my own hometown, and it's a beautiful feeling. So let me share another piece with you. There's something about the sound of a raised voice and a door slamming at 2 a.m. that makes me want to change the world. Maybe it's the fact that I can't sleep through it but gotta get up to go to school the next day. Or maybe it's the multiple black and blue bruises I see decorating my mother's neck and face. Everybody always say if something bad happens, don't think twice, just call the cops. So I call the cops, but maybe when the red and blue lights started to surround my house, I should have reconsidered my thoughts, because who would have known they'd take my mother away? Who would have known a week later I'd have to lie to Children's Aid? Who would have known it wouldn't be the last time my parents make me take the blame? I'd have to sit there and say, oh, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I misunderstood the whole thing. You see, I never saw him hit my mom this time. I just thought it might escalate. You know how embarrassing that is? I'll be real with you. Every other time I turn on the TV, I show up fashionably late to yesterday's news, because never have I ever been the one to relate to things like poverty or political issues. But when I learned that women make up 2/3 of the world who can't read or write, I believe I'm one of them, because my head hurts way too much to understand my homework. I come with excuse after excuse of why there's a scar above my eye. Hey, maybe I've been damaged by all I've seen, or maybe my mom told me not to mention that she didn't mean to hit me across the face with a spatula when she got mad at my father for leaving her 2 kids, a stack of unpaid rent bills, and only $128 in their joint bank account, till he drank that too. You see, it's clear I come from a place that hurts, that I never want to return to. Because I can't stand the smell my mom salts you at face whenever she stumbles into another room, or the sound that it makes every time my dad slams another door behind him. So I speak. I spit the truth out like verbal graffiti and paint the town red with the black and blue of my identity so you can see who I really am. And I'm not the only one. No matter what you've been told, you deserve to be heard, and nothing spreads faster than a mouthful of words. They just got this funny way of destroying you from the inside out, if only you just let them sit in the back of your mouth. So speak, even if you're too afraid. Speak, even if your voice shakes. Speak, so the sound of that raised voice at 2 a.m. is you changing the world. It's an interesting, thing when your family's in the room, and I'm revealing things, I'm revealing myself to you. I'm revealing our truth. And I appreciate your care. I appreciate your appreciation. One of the amazing things about being who I am, I'm 27 years old, and at this point I've made a living out of sharing my life and sharing my craft. And with the development I've been trying to create with my poetry, I've grown so much as a person, and and I've been able to see people in my life change. Thank you. People in my family, my friends, people I don't even know, people in the community. And as a young person, it's truly remarkable, because I remember what it was like in those times where you just don't know what to do. You don't know how to make a difference. And you're told that you can, but you just don't see it. When I was in grade 9, my science teacher, Mr. Finn, my favorite science teacher, he pulled me aside one day after school, and he said, "You know what? I want you to go to our leadership camp. It's for the seniors, but and even though you're grade 9, I want you to go because we get to choose 2 grade 9s to get to go." I said, "What? Why me?" And he said, "Well, I think you have a lot of potential." And that has always stuck with me. Potential. I was in science class, I just learned what that meant. It means, something, at rest, but has the capacity to move, the capacity to do something great. And that resonated with me, and it stuck with me. So another Britta tip for you would be, if you see something in somebody, tell them. Make a habit of telling people what you see in them. In my community of Toronto, where I live now, I get to work with 2 organizations that are true to my heart, and they're working towards, what I truly believe will help make the world a better place too. One of the organizations is Unity Charity, and they work off a platform where we encourage youth to express their stress and to develop skills for success. So we use the modes and the elements of hip-hop, like beatboxing, dance, music, spoken word, rap, and graffiti, and we get kids interested in sharing their stories, their truths, through an artistic platform. So this is something I feel very special to be a part of. Another organization, R.I.S E Edutainment. It's a weekly spoken word open mic that gathers in Scarborough, so it's a little bit more northeast, and it's a bit of a trek, but people come from all over the GTA to get together and work with, and to share their arts as well. So they share their poems, they share their songs and their music, and it's just a big gathering that continues to grow and continues to expand, and I hope someday that we'll have something like it here in Kingston. As I wrap up, I want to share one last piece with you. A mentor of mine who goes by the name Andrea Blackwell was recently inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame. She is a 2-time Olympian, and I wrote a piece about her because she was someone who always moved me and was always there for me and didn't need to be. And I'm just so thankful to have her in my life and in my world. And it's funny because we have the same birthday. So I hope someday I'm able to make her proud. We cannot call ourselves teachers, not even on our resumes. For we do not control what people learn from us, if anything is learned at all. We can be providers, providing each other with opportunities to be greatly influenced. I bet my high school basketball coach, 2-time Olympian phys ed and business teacher, didn't intend to make a poet out of me. Guiding light she was, equipped with give-and-go words of encouragement, providing me with opportunities to be greatly influenced, to recognize the greatness already within. Every now and then, she'd pass triple threat quotes. No longer on the court or in her classroom, I could still hear her voice saying it to me. What the mind can conceive and the heart believes, you can achieve. She inspired me to inspire others like me with a few words of my own. Ms. Blackwell, you are more than a teacher, you are my hero. Thank y'all so much. Please stay in touch. Add your Britta tips. I'm on Twitter and whatnot, so just feel free to approach me. Thank you so much for all you've done.